What has to be different for Seattle to compete and potentially win this game from the last time that they played?
Well, I think that hammering in the middle in the rushing attack against the Niners, and then defensively sitting back in soft zones is maybe not the best way to go, considering that that's been at the forefront a bit of what you've tried to do for the last 0-4, I believe, the last 4 games we played this last year and a half. So something maybe deviating a little bit outside of that structure. But I've been calling week in and week out for certain things to adjust from a schematic perspective or a tactical perspective or anything. And that's really not the team's modus operandi. They are who they are. They do what they do. And remember I wrote you, I had a quote that I brought from Bieniemy that he was talking about the Seahawks defense that you're speaking about, not just, but you can apply it to both. And it's the overarching issue I think that's on this team right now is that we're not really going to do different things. I know that I can say things like, I think we should pressure and blitz more because our defense hasn't done anything good this year. And that's been one of the good things that we've done. Not that I'm one of those cliche fans telling you that we got to blitz, man. Blitz, that's where you're going to get it right now. That's not what I'm trying to say, but just this is what you've done well when you've done nothing else well across the board, from tackling to playing the run to defending the pass. And so I say that, but we won't do that. We don't want to do that. I can point to individual guys that are graded by PFF and their pass rushing grades as blitzers that are phenomenal in their grades, but we will not do that. We'll sprinkle it in. We're going to try to trust our front four, which, as you guys saw in the last 4 times we played you, we don't have the front four that can generate pass rush on their own like the Niners defense can. I don't know. I could give you some things that I'd love to see, like a little more pressure-based stuff, a little more willingness to play man. Not that it's an end-all, be-all solution to stopping the Niners offense, but at least it's something different to what we tried. Remember, we talked about this in the playoffs last year, right? Remember, we talked about this.
Brandon, I have to stop you only because I hear the frustration in your voice. And it's not even frustration. It's almost like I hear the fatigue in your voice because I know that I've heard you talk about this last year. I know that I heard you talk about this when we did our show before the season started, our preview show. I heard you talk about this just over 2 weeks ago. And now it's like you're just so tired of saying the same thing and knowing it's not going to change. You're so frustrated with it. I can feel it oozing from you. I really can.
It's just gotten to that point, and I just feel like I feel like literally I'm wasting breath. They're just trying to come up with stuff because it's just they're not going to do it. And on a weekly basis, you're just faced with these little collection of plays on defense on a day, for instance, where you don't cause even one punt, where the couple of collections of defensive plays that you do good stuff on are on the black of blitzing, right? I can almost do this on a week. I did a whole show based around it this past week on Sunday. And I'm just like, here, let's go through the season, every individual game. Here's a collection of plays. The defense played horribly on this day, but here's some things we did good. Rest of the day, you're in a front four. And I ask you, your chat and your subscribers were kind enough to respond to my comment section after I posted my video recap on that first game. And I'm going to ask you the question now, which was, do you guys see the Rams offense and the Seahawks offense right now? Do you guys see any difference in strategy? We've played you these 4 games. You guys have no dog in this fight as far as this question's concerned. Do you see any applicable change in strategy over that 4-game stretch in how the Seahawks have attacked the Niners, either offensively or defensively?
No, not at all. Not at all. No.
I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my case. We went into that playoff game last year. You and I sat down and I said, look, we don't have a big chance to win this game. We don't have a healthy nose tackle right now. I don't know how we're going to hold up against McCaffrey, but I'll tell you what I would do. I'd go down fighting. I'd go down swinging. Nobody expects you to win the game anyway. So if you get blown out and it's because you went to Blitzburg City, so be it. At least you tried something different against that team that had beaten you twice through the year doing that. But no, that's us leaving our philosophy and who we are, and you can't leave who you are. And so you just keep kind of trying the same thing. So what you will see this week is a front 4 defense, much like the Niners run, minus the wide 9 approach. You're going to see soft zone coverage on the back end with the Seahawks dropping kind of an umbrella-like look if you were to be seeing, kind of like a 3-4-man umbrella look if you're just looking at it from an all-22. There's always the umbrella on top of the coverage as it swoops back. So you're going to see that. Offensively, we're going to refuse to run fly sweeps like you guys do. So you don't have to worry about that. Don't don't even have to defend that really if you think about it. Also, probably only going to run about 1 or 2 pitch plays on the day, and maybe 1 outside zone run. So if you really wanted to, you could compound your run defense right down into the A and B gaps post snap, and which is what a lot of teams are doing. It's like an amoeba. You just feel the whole amoeba sucked down to the A and B gaps, and you probably will have some success. Now, if we deviate from that, being that when we have deviated from those approaches this year, we might find some success with it. Not to say that it'll beat you guaranteed, or that I have some, I don't have the end all be all solution. There's a variety of problems here. So I don't want to say like, I know which is the right path. I hope that doesn't come off as that, but the team just doesn't apply different types of strategies like other teams might employ. Your Niners, for instance, last week, we led a couple of weeks ago, we led into the Thursday game. And I said, these stack fronts have been giving our offensive line issues. Your Niners team doesn't want to run a lot of stack fronts. I know that. You want to trust your front four. But I might dial it up a little bit this week. Again, as an unbiased observer, again, somebody that doesn't have a dog in the fight. Am I wrong to say that I think you guys ran maybe a little more stack fronts again? Not like it was turn it up to Spinal Tap 11, but you dialed up some of those stack fronts in that game and you brought it at us, seeing that, hey, their film shows they're having problems with this. Let's utilize that. Let's take advantage of that. And you guys did, especially in the second half. I felt like you really started to bring some of that into bear, and it only then made the front four tougher. That's the stuff we don't do that I wish we did do. And I don't have a lot of explanation. You're right. I'm frustrated. And I don't have a lot of answers for why we don't at this point. You think they would be at the place of, God, try something.
Yeah. I mean, I think something that might change and help this time around versus last time. If Kenneth Walker is healthy, that would be a major get back. We'll see if he's able to play. It sounds like it's iffy. I mean, I'm not going to question anybody's injury, and I don't know how serious it is. All I know is that CMC seemed to have had a pretty bad oblique injury himself, and he played the next week. It's now been a few weeks for Walker. I would think the hope would at least be that maybe he'll try to give it a go. They need him to give it a go. But if he's not healthy, he's not healthy. But the possibility is that he's there. And then you've got, unless he got hurt again last week, Abe Lucas should be back, right? Was he back a couple weeks ago? Okay, so that's helpful. And then Eric Armstead, who is a big reason why we stopped the run, is likely not going to play. He got banged up in this last game. So if Kenneth Walker plays, Abe Lucas there, no Eric Armstead, the chances of success running the ball should be a lot higher. And maybe they are able to deploy that a little bit. I do want to get to these two comments before I lose them real quick. And they kind of tie hand in hand with each other. Shades by Chardal says, sorry, Jesse, but you hyped up the Seahawks as well before the year. The Rams are better. And then Jacob says, Jesse, ask him why they traded for Williams with the back end that can't cover. Here's what I want to say. Seattle is very talented team. They don't have a secondary that can't cover. That is not the issue. In fact, they have a very, very good secondary. They have a schematic issue. A major schematic problem in Seattle is what I'm seeing. Talent is not the issue in Seattle. They've got a lot of talent, tons of talent. That defense should be one of the best defenses in the league if schemed properly. But they're awful. They're taking a bunch of players who really could play a lot and do a lot of the same things that Cleveland did against the 49ers. They could run press man. They could give the 49ers some problems with that. But instead, they're taking elite corners and saying, oh, you know what? Instead of doing what they do best, let's make them play soft zone coverage and allow these teams to get catches underneath, and then we'll just be really good tacklers. But both these guys can cover and play press man. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't get it. Obviously, Brandon doesn't get it. The issue is not talent. And where I was coming from this offseason was from a talent perspective, looking at a team that had just made the playoffs, upgraded their talent in a big way. I expected that schematically they would be able to handle their own. Those coaches, in my opinion, are failing the players because they do. You go roster for roster, they've got, in my opinion, top 5, top 7 roster in this league, but they're likely not going to make the playoffs. And I think that comes down to coaching.